But let's look at the SAI strategy from another point of view. What exactly is being used to create this cloud cover? In 2013, we got our answer. The most renowned geoengineering scientist in the United States, David Keith, appeared on the Stephen Colbert Show to promote his book, A Case for Climate Engineering. What was revealed may be the most critical information about covert geoengineering practices than ever admitted to the public.
You could actually spray sulfuric acid in the stratosphere 20 kilometers over our head and use that to stop the planet warming up in a ugly tech fix.
You can spray something into the atmosphere to change.
Spray pollution into the atmosphere to stop it warming.
How do you do this?
You'd start with a fleet of modified business jets and say 20,000 tons of sulfuric acid into the stratosphere every year. And each year you have to put a little more. And this doesn't, in the long run, mean that you can forget about cutting emissions. We will need to rein in emissions.
We'll get to it eventually. But in the meantime, we're shrouding the Earth in sulfuric acid.
So people are terrified about talking about this because they're scared that it will prevent us cutting emissions.
Right, and also that it's sulfuric acid.
We put 50 million tons of sulfuric acid in the air now as pollution, and it kills 1 million people a year worldwide.
Okay, but it'll be better if we put more in.
We're talking about 1% of that.
1% more, we're just killing 10,000 more people.
You can do math.
What happens to the sulfuric acid after it's sprayed? Does it just stay up there?
No, it rains down, but it's a tiny addition to what we're already doing.
Is there any possible way this could come back to bite us in the end?
Actually...
So, this world-renowned climatologist says, if we can just inject a little more sulfuric acid and metal nanoparticulates into the stratosphere, we can effectively reflect the sun's heat, even if it kills tens of thousands of people, so that we can buy time and eventually get around to decreasing our reliance on polluting fossil fuels. If you were given a choice, would you give a thumbs up for willingly adding these toxins to your respiration, soil, food, and water supply? To allow BP, Exxon, Chevron, and the rest to have a few more decades exercising optimal power and profit? We'll tell you more about the effects of those metal nanoparticulates on humans and on the planet. But first, you may have noticed how the geoengineering proponents emphasize that SAI is being considered for use in the future. We just heard a 40-year-old news clip saying it was working. So why are we continually told it's being researched as a potential solution when the evidence shows it's happening right now? A document presented to the U.S. Senate in 1978 reveals that cloud seeding research began in 1947 and with devastating consequences to the environment. But would you believe that the research goes back even further? Medal of Honor recipient Admiral Richard E. Byrd wrote a book called Alone about his experience in the Arctic. No one at the time would have noticed that the book cover shows sky aerosol patterns. This book was published back in 1938, after the First World War, when these technologies were being studied at the poles. It's also worth
higher and higher, climbing to reach your best operational altitude, 25,000 feet, 5 miles straight up. So high you can't be seen from the ground with the naked eye. Higher and colder, temperature 40 degrees below zero. Stratosphere, until the exhaust of the engines mixing with the cold thin air condenses and streams the heavens with vapor trails. To the men in the ships, they're far from beautiful, for they point like beckoning fingers to the formation, signposts in the sky for for the enemy to spot us. For these bombers to accomplish
Das Schwefelpulver wird dem Kerosin beigemischt und bei der Verbrennung in den Triebwerken entsteht dann Schwefeldioxid, wie bei einem Vulkanausbruch. Die Schwefeldioxidteilchen streuen das Sonnenlicht und reduzieren die auf der Erde ankommende Strahlung. Entlang der weltweiten Flugrouten soll das Gas global verteilt werden und die Erderwärmung bremsen oder sogar stoppen. Doch Schwefeldioxid ist giftig. Zwar behaupten die Befürworter, in so großer Höhe sei die Lebensdauer des Gases zu kurz für ein Absinken auf die Erdoberfläche. Eine Garantie dafür gibt es allerdings nicht. Umschichtungen in der Atmosphäre könnten für eine böse Überraschung sorgen.